Hey, good morning. I'm gonna try something new today. This is gonna be a freeform video where I have an idea. I haven't tried to make this before, just something that I thought about that would be cool. Usually I, do a lot of experiments, get the project kind of set before I do a video, but this is gonna be live. I don't even know if this is gonna look good or whatever, but thought it'd be fun to try something new. The idea is kind of like having a low res screen in a smoky room and having like lightning pixel flashes and then having a 3D logo zoom in. That doesn't mean much when I describe it, but we'll see if I can get there. Hopefully, you learn something about process and something new about the tool along the way. So let's get started. First thing I want to do is create the screen with the lightning flashes. When I thought about it before, I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to do that. I think I want to try using this sparkle effect, which when zoomed out and really kind of, we take the flare away, it can kind of seem like lightning flashes or just like some sort of electrical activity. So we'll start with that. And then I want to try to have some kind of distortion. FBM is like very much like the lightning effect. That's how it's done in pretty much every graphics programming software. Yeah, I don't know. Because also we're going to layer pixelate on top. And so we want to see that actually looks, one, interesting, and two, actually like a kind of rapid lightning strikes. The thing about sparkle is, I'll just turn these off for the moment. It uses a Voronoi pattern. The animation doesn't look very good. Like if you go to, I'll just show you. Take wisps. It has this wander attribute. Sparkle didn't really look natural or good with that. So the effect when you animate it is just sort of a random position offset, which if you speed it up, it actually kind of looks like a whole bunch of cameras flashing in a stadium or something like that. So the tricky part is going to be, not having a lot of time in the transition for these flashes. Yeah, it actually does look good if I have the flare using the distortion. That's got a little bit more energy in it. I kind of want them to be a little bit more sporadic. Maybe that's the way to do it. And then, now that I'm looking at this is actually the best looking lightning, besides the animation that I talked about, where it's kind of just random positions. We don't have a lot of smoothness in the animation here, but there's two things we can do. We can actually just maybe slow it down a little bit and animate the FBM. And maybe this needs to go faster. Yeah, see, actually, that's almost convincing because the awkward stutter of the stars gets sort of covered up by the fact that the FBM is animating. All right, so I'm actually pleasantly surprised with this. Still not quite as sporadic as I would like. And putting that flare, again, the flare is the star part of the stars rather than the glow, which is sort of the bloom around it. That's looking pretty neat. We don't need chroma here. Okay, so then let's just sketch out the rest of this. I want reflective surface because again, this is actually supposed to emulate a pixel screen in a room. I think we want this to be Yeah, like this is actually not bad. I thought it would be a little harder to get what I was looking for here. I want to have like not just black and white, a little bit of color. That out of the box, looks great actually. Okay, so the next step is we're gonna get some fog in here, of course. Loving the fog effect. Very very happy with how it turned out. Definitely put a lot of love into making this one, and I think it shows. Yeah, definitely want to have some scatter. That gives you like an ambient, so you can actually see the fog, not just have it be illuminated by the texture behind. It's just a matter of tuning it the way that feels right. Diffusion is how much blur, how much bloom it creates with the background texture. Density is the amount of fog in the room here. This is all the way. I think we just, something in the middle would be good. Okay. I'm not sure this pixelate is exactly what I want. We do have retro screen, which is a CRT effect to simulate an old, different kinds of tube televisions. That's all I'm going to say about it. I don't know anything about television technology, so I'm going to stop there. Yeah, maybe this is probably what I want. This is kind of like a pixelate, the CRT5. It's just that every other row is offset on the y-axis. So we are still pixelating here, if you can kind of see that. It's just that each cell has that offset, which kind of, feels more natural. More like a screen, perhaps. So, yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe we do want a little fuzz. Sorry for anybody with epilepsy. This is a little crazy. We can experiment with toning it down after. All right. Well, this is coming along, and then what I wanted to do was, this is going to be underneath the fog. I want to have we'll just throw a Unicorn Studio logo on there. And we're going to put that underneath reflective surface too. Okay. I think it's just going to be white, or, maybe something close. And so the problem with reflective surface is that, ideally it could reflect and the logo could go over it. But this is not an actual 3D environment. This is just sort of simulating one. Now it can do that, but then we don't have the reflection here. So, you can kind of fiddle with it maybe to make it fit. Maybe we won't have it scale all the way. So let's make it centered. We'll have it start here. Yeah, so we're going to do an intro animation. Here is the new easing selector. A much better browsing experience. So let's see, play. Yeah, I don't think anything too crazy. Maybe this is fine. Two. Wait, second. Maybe make it 4 seconds. Okay, you know, it'd be also cool. Let's also, we'll do axis. We'll make it kind of start halfway through. And we're going to, on the X, make it rotate 90 degrees. So I'm going to put 90. Okay. I meant to say Y. It's always gets me. And then I just want these to be 180. Yeah, something like that. Maybe it's a little too foggy. A little bit less. And a little bit less scatter. Maybe the octaves are too high too. Of course, we gotta experiment with the blend modes here. Never know what cool stuff you might discover. I mean, that's cool. I think you may have seen it in Tom Johnson from Bass Dash in his videos, but he always points out that a lot of Unicorn Studio is just playing around with stuff and seeing what happens. I mean, I think that's what makes it so fun, even for me, because you're always going to bump into something unexpected that you think is really cool. You know, so maybe we do a screen mode here. All right, and I want this axis to be 180, 90, 180 by default. I see some weird. All right. Maybe I don't screen. Drop that. You can also make the fog a color too. You know, that gives a totally different vibe. It seems natural to make it the same color as the logo. All right, now that we did that, I'm just going to check one more time if we have any cool blend modes here that yeah, maybe just normal. This is what I'm looking for. All right, I think what's not really working for me is the logo does not seem to be affected by the lighting of the background, which makes sense because again, this is a lot, we're compositing different layers. The 3D shape isn't aware of the background, or sorry, not the lighting. It's not like a three-dimensional environment where you have actual light set up like in a 3JS scene or something like that. But perhaps by using, again, blend modes. Yeah, sometimes fog causes this scale resolution artifact. We can use blend modes to, I put it on a shape here, and I use add. You can also just do this, so we don't need to do that. But, you know, maybe there's a way to, this could be actually even better. I actually don't know if we can do this. So it would be cool to have the shape refract the background. So yeah, look at that. That's what I want. See? Okay. So the shape is using the roughness attribute to add some blur to the underlying layer here. So actually I've turned off show background. I've made the parent shape normal. And, you know, now it's got a lot more actual, you can see the edges, like it's getting the flashes from the light. See, amazing. I didn't even think that was the solution, but we got creative. All right, well, I think we did it. That looks pretty much exactly like what I had imagined. We learned a couple things, had some fun exploring, and I'll drop a remix link to this in the description below. And hope you had fun. Thanks for watching. Bye.